What's going on there, folks? Good evening. It's the Earthmaster here on this Wednesday night, December 7th, 2022. It's about 9:48 p.m. here along the West Coast in California. Latest quake shows 1.8 earthquake over here. Looks like around the Mediterranean area, around actually Italy. They did have some activity coming in here just a short time ago with some movement over there in that section of the world. Not really seeing that activity here on the USGS map, but definitely Western Turkey area. And I did get a recent notification here of an earthquake into the central Italy area, 4.2 coming in about 15 minutes ago. Let's go ahead and check out the EMSC model here real quick and see what we have for the data. Stand by for just a second here, since that's kind of the uptick area right now. There is that, well, that's kind of a different earthquake right here. That looks like 4.2 coming in into southern Iran, but also over here some activity around Italy being reported, at least according to the EMSC. There it is right there. Looks like it got downgraded a little bit to a 3.7 earthquake coming up there on the map. One of the latest earthquakes here, just offshore. It looks like of the Italy area. All right, let's see what else we got here across the region. Far as movement goes across the Western Pacific, somewhat active. Also around the Papua New Guinea area, seen a 5.5 coming in within the last hour. Looks like about 37 kilometers deep there into the Papua New Guinea region. Let's see what else we have for newer activity. Looks like a couple fours, a 5.8 into the Java Trench earlier this afternoon time period. About 123 kilometers deep, just outside of the area here. Down there into the Java Trench, again 123 kilometers deep for that area. Also a little bit of activity back building here around the Fiji Islands region with a 4.0. In the afternoon time period, 519 kilometers deep. Now there is some activity occurring down along the Kermadec Trench, not being reported here by the USGS. Just about 17 minutes ago or so, we had a 3.6. Pretty deep earthquake there, just north of North Island, New Zealand area, 258 kilometers deep. It's a pretty deep earthquake here for this region. Also some activity. Looks like around the Taupo super volcano. So let's check this out real quick. Just the seismograph drums around Taupo, and there's not a lot. Looks like a couple small earthquakes throughout the last 24 hours, but overall that seismic activity, that major swarm that we're seeing, has died off pretty significantly, and we're left with just a couple small earthquakes there for now. But either way, it looks like definitely a little bit of activity across the northern end here, North Island, New Zealand, and the southern end of the Kermadec Trench. Up north into the Philippine plate here, aside from the movement this morning near Taiwan and Guam, we haven't really seen any uptick in activity. And a look here at the globe. Let's see here. It doesn't look like there's too much activity ramping up here around this region. Most of it definitely kicking up here around the Java Trench, where we've seen that 5.8 just earlier. Pretty good swarm of 4s and 3s kicking off there. So getting a little cluster of earthquake activity there in that region once again. Up into the northern Pacific Ring of Fire, northwestern section. Looks like the latest earthquake in this area, 4.0, but that was from about 4 o'clock this morning time period. No further activity to report there for now. Across the Aleutian Islands and the Alaska area, all looks pretty typical. Not a whole lot of further movement throughout the afternoon time period. Most of it all small microquakes, and no major unrest to report. Looks like we got a little bit of swarming south of Fairbanks here again, out in this little field or a plateau. It looks like Clear Creek Butte. Can't really tell the far as the elevation here, but it's in a zone that has seen some swarming We had a couple different segments here, different sections of this area, seen some swarming activity here over the last 30 days. And now it looks like we're getting a little new region to the west of all this previous activity. And there was a pretty good uptick in movement earlier, actually towards the end of November. So we'll watch that region pretty closely. Up into the Pacific Northwest, some movement outside of Seattle. Latest one shows a 2.3 northeast of Seattle, about 21 kilometers deep. And also some movement over here around the Olympic Mountains near Amanda Park, 1.4, 29 kilometers deep. A little bit of a deeper movement. Earthquakes taking place there. The latest tremor map here tonight along the Cascadia shows movement a little bit further south here than we had seen over the past couple days. If you remember, we had a pretty good cluster of tremor here right around the Seattle area. That's come to a halt, and now we're seeing tremor kick back up along the southern segment here of the Cascadia, mostly confined to the Oregon and Northern California area. Movement around the Nevada and the Oregon border area. Most of this came to a halt here earlier this afternoon, but getting a pretty good swarm of activity. Quite a few very small microquakes, very shallow as well, up around this region. I'm sure there's a lot of older volcanic activity here. Possibly we could be seeing the pressure increasing in this region and hitting those areas that were volcanic a long time ago. So let's see what we got for the last 30 days of activity here. About 64 earthquakes outside the Sheldon area. All right, let's see what else we got. Northern California, pretty quiet. Some movement north of the Truckee area earlier today near Loyalton. Had a 3.4 coming in, pretty shallow earthquake, negative 2.0. That was followed up, looks like a few minutes later, by a 1.3. This is occurring around the Bald Mountain Range. Again, pretty shallow earthquake activity, and then a subsequent deeper aftershock. Again, north of Truckee, north of the Lake Tahoe area. Movement kicking up around the Cobb Mountain region once again. The Calpine hydrothermal operations in full force, it looks like. And quite a bit of earthquakes there today. 26 earthquakes over the last 24 hours there in that region. And a little bit of activity outside of Vacaville, it looks like tonight. Or early this morning near Napa, east of Napa. At the Green Valley Fault Zone. A couple small quakes there being reported. And further down south here, near the Bodfish area, this region did see a 3.6 earlier this morning. So far we've seen a good handful of aftershock activity within this region. No major quake activity, just some minor earthquake movement currently happening there at the southern end of the Sierra Nevada mountains and the Southern California area, extreme Southern California. Not a whole lot going on. Very typical movement across the area. Not seeing any major swarms. No unusual activity to report there in Southern California. Across portions of southern Nevada, getting a pretty wide range of earthquake activity across this area north of Las Vegas. Some movement out here around the Railroad Valley at 3.0. Definitely kind of increasing there across the region here today. Yellowstone National Park up here looks like a couple earthquakes being reported, but I don't think we have any major swarming. Let me check that out here on the seismographs. Doesn't look like it. Most of the activity there are some very small microquakes, but a little bit of an uptick, it looks like, compared to the past couple days. But either way, these are not big earthquakes whatsoever. Very small ones, but a little bit more numerous today than they have been. Let's see what else we have across the southern plains. These are some older movement quakes there around Oklahoma and Texas. Around North Carolina, got one earthquake here coming in earlier this evening, just outside of the Valley Hill, North Carolina region. 3.8 kilometers deep, for a 2.7. Occasionally we do see some earthquake activity out there. Quick glance at the seismic zone here. Kind of puts it in there within a zone of earthquake hazards. Not fully intense as certain areas over here around the New Madrid zone, but there's definitely a couple mountain ranges up here, the Great Smoky Mountains, Blue Ridge Mountains, all got quite a few fault systems running through them. So it's not definitely not uncommon to see earthquake activity kick up there on occasion. All right, let's see, South America region, got one earthquake here coming into the Chile area. Actually, this is underneath Argentina, down there at about 246 kilometers deep, somewhat deep there in the Peru-Chile Trench. And looks like earlier, way earlier this morning, we've seen another, let's see, we've seen another 4.2 in that region. This here is the most recent one, though, in the red circle. So kind of watching that zone with that deeper activity. We have been seeing a little bit of 2s and some 3s in there as well, further down onto the trench level. All right, let's see what else we got. Big island of Hawaii. Of course, Mauna Loa continuing to erupt from fissure number 3. Let's give a quick glance here at the latest information from the, hopefully their site's working. I know they've been having all sorts of issues with their webcam recently. There we go. It took a little while. There's a little on the odd side. Mauna Loa, the latest updated informational statement here. Boy, this is kind of slow. Not for sure what's going on. I'm guessing it's their server. I mean, yeah, it's got to be because this other site just kicked up pretty quickly. All right, that's just a little weird. All right, latest updated information here. This was put out earlier this afternoon time frame, it looks like. Still continuing. Northeast rift zone eruption of Mauna Loa continues. One active fissure, that's going to be fissure number 3, continuing to provide a river of lava downslope. And there has been some, what do they call them, blowouts or breakouts, that's what they're called, that occur if the channels get blocked. And that's kind of what's been happening. Lava flow advance rates may be highly variable over the coming days. Individual lobes may advance quickly and then stall. Additional breakouts may occur if lava channels get blocked upslope. There are many variables at play, and the direction and timing of flow advances are expected to change over the hours and days, making it difficult to estimate when or if the flow will impact the main highway out there, Daniel K. Highway. But looks like about 1.8 miles from that highway, that is the current lava flow, the front flow. It hasn't really changed much because of those breakouts back upstream. They kind of, slow down the flow, so to speak, and lava spills elsewhere in the region upslope, and doesn't really provide that continual river of lava, so to speak, when these breakouts occur. So we'll watch for those maps. Let's see what we got here. Eruption map. Looks like this was put out. There's some of those lava breakouts. Notice that instead of flowing down slope here, we're kind of like what we have been seeing. We get these breakouts from the main channel and just kind of spill in opposite directions here. And very common, though, during the certain eruptions. So this will definitely impact the flow of the front area. But for now, things still kind of definitely pretty active. Haven't really seen any major changes. I'll definitely keep an eye on it. And again, the information here, let's go to multimedia and see what we got. Go over here to webcams. Yeah, their live stream is offline. It's been offline here most of the evening and early afternoon, late afternoon time period. So it looks like they're having some type of issues there with that. But there is the still images, which are still providing the beautiful dramatic views there of the Fissure 3 eruption. Mauna Loa still continuing to spew out quite a bit of lava. I would love to see this firsthand. That would definitely be, it is on my bucket list, that's for sure. I do have a friend over there right now. He is in the process of getting towards the Mauna Loa area. I'm not for sure how far he's going to be able to get, but is in contact with the USGS, and he does run a pretty cool channel. I don't really give too many shout outs here on the channel, but an individual called Tornado Tackler. They also storm chase and obviously chase tornadoes, but cover volcano activity as well. So they are listed on YouTube and also Facebook. Go check it out, Tornado Tackler. I'm sure you've heard of him. If not, go check it out. Got quite a few good videos there on the social media platform. All right, let's see what else we have here. I think we checked all the earthquake activity out here. See what we got over here. I know we've seen a little increase here off the coast of Italy with that 3.7. Aside from that, some older movement across the area. Nothing going on across the Atlantic Ocean. We did have one earthquake way down south here into the South Sandwich Trench, 112 kilometers deep. But that's about the only activity being reported out here along the Atlantic Ocean. Nothing showing up either on the EMSC model. All right, let's go and check out the Solar Ham site. G1 conditions, at least forecasted still. We kind of peaked out there. It looks like last night with that, I think it kind of arrived a little early as far as that CME, the effects of the CME, or the coronal hole activity, the high-speed solar wind stream. Peaked out there around the G1 class storm level, KP index at 5. Current conditions here still show a little bit of unsettled conditions at the higher latitudes, with the current KP index around 2 or so. And there is the current aurora forecast, again, into the higher latitudes around Canada. Looks like Greenland area, maybe into that region there. Maybe portions of northern Alaska as well. That's another thing on my bucket list, to see the auroras above my head. That would be pretty awesome. So there's the speed kicking up. It's really hard to say if this is the full brunt of the expected high-speed solar wind stream that has been flowing from the coronal hole number 53, which is now obviously scooted well off towards the western section here of the sun. And it should have arrived. Like I say, I think it kind of arrived early last night and was a little bit weaker than expected. But overall, still kind of keeping our eyes open for active conditions at the higher latitudes there. No major solar flares to report. Activity here looks pretty calm. Maybe getting a little C flare right now. It looks like very low C flare coming in. But aside from that, these sunspots, as ginormous as they are, they're not really doing much though. But there's a pretty close magnetic field here in this major sunspot region, and a couple other ones to watch. We'll definitely report back on that if anything changes. Trying to see where the C flare activity is kind of coming from. It could be from any one of these direct sunspots that are facing Earth, but really not expecting any major events as far as any X flare potential. Right now they got 90% chance for a C flare, 30% for an M flare, and they do have an X flare probability of 10%. The most likely culprit, it looks like, is going to be 3153, and that's going to be this sunspot region right here, this big one that's currently facing us. A couple new sunspot regions here, newly named sunspots around the northeastern limb, and possibly a new developing sunspot way out there. But we'll watch that here in the coming days. But either way, pretty active in sunspots, but again, they're not doing much, and that's kind of been the it's been the story here. Every time we get active regions, they just kind of sit there and mope along across the sun, and well, no major flares pop off. It's a little on the weird side, little on the odd side that we haven't seen any major solar flare activity, at least Earth directed. So what else? I think that's about it, folks. I'm going to jump off here. Have a good night. Again, once the USGS gets their webcam, their streaming live webcam up, then I will replace that, obviously, back onto the live stream. But for now, and I think here overnight, we'll just continue with the updated image. I have it set to update every 2 minutes or so. And sometimes it gets behind. It looks like it may be behind about 9 minutes or so. But either way, it's still a live image, still from a webcam up there, but just not the awesome one that has been up here. But apparently they're having some type of issues with it. But again, once it gets going, we'll replace that one. I'm still having some issues with a couple of the seismograph stations. In fact, it looks like the majority of them are offline. I only have 2 active seismographs, one in Southern California and also one in the New Zealand area near Black Stump Farm. That's the one we were monitoring for the Taupo supervolcano. So I'm not for sure what's going on. I'm going to leave it up tonight. Hopefully it comes back. If it does not come back by morning, I'll do a quick reset on those and see if we can get them back up online, because I don't know, they just kind of disappear. They stop working, stop sending data, which is kind of weird in itself as well. All right, folks, have a good night. Stay safe out there, and we will chat at you guys tomorrow sometime. What's tomorrow? Thursday? Ooh, Thursday. Alrighty. Take care, folks.